we're back, just like that. Incredible. Billy Joel, I don't know how you came up with that, but that is awesome. Let's look at the couple of chords that Billy Joel uses to move us from the ending of the chorus of She's Always a Woman, which is in D minor, to the verse, which is in D major.
Oh, and she never gives out, and she never gives in. She just changes her mind, and she'll promise you more than
the beginning of the second part of the chorus makes it feel like we're almost in D Dorian. Although it begins on a strong D minor, we've got a B natural,
D natural,
as opposed to the B flat, which is the note we would normally find in the D natural minor scale. So this makes it feel a little bit brighter there. But then later on, we do get a B flat instead of a B natural. Here again, this B natural feels like we're in C major here, until this chord hits. All of a sudden, the whole landscape turns a little bit darker, but then we end up modulating back to D major, the ultimate bright modulation from D minor. Night is always darkest right before the dawn. Then, ingeniously, from this F over A chord, we just go down a half step to first inversion E chord. It becomes an E dominant chord, and then we go to an A7. And it's at this point we realize that the E7 chord serves as the 5 of the 5 of D major. The 5 for the 5 for the 1. This is one example of Billy Joel borrowing some harmonic vocabulary from jazz to enhance the sound of his pop music. And you can learn this technique too. All about it in the caption. You have to check out this ridiculously smooth tritone substitution in Billy Joel's Vienna. It comes in at the end of the chorus, and the chorus sounds like this.
You got your passion, you got your pride, but don't you know that only fools are satisfied? Dream on, but don't imagine they'll come true. Ooh, when will you realize, woo, Vienna waits for you.
Now check it out without the tritone sub.
Ooh, when will you realize, Vienna waits for you.
Another option would have been to go to a C minor chord instead of a G flat 7, ending up with a normal 2, 5 and B flat. Check that out.
Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you?
Or you could think about the whole tone scale based on this G flat chord, and you can switch it out for an E augmented chord instead.
Ooh, when will you realize?
So much stuff to unpack in just the verse of this song. Seriously guys, if you want to get on this level in songwriting, music theory is a must. You have to check out Billy Joel's expert use of borrowed chords and secondary dominants in the verse of Just the Way You Are. First of all, look at this beautiful chromatic line at the beginning of the verse.
Don't go changing to try and please me.
We're borrowing a chord from the parallelidian scale, kind of an E7 with a B in the bass. What we end up getting here is a little bit of brightness before resolving it back down to the relatively darker Aeonian mode. And then there's this little surprise. We go back to B minor at the end as opposed to... That would kind of be the typical thing to do, but instead we get almost like a deceptive cadence to the relative minor. And then right here, immediately after, we get a secondary dominant for the 4 chord. We get a D7. This chord is not native to the key of D major either.
Please me, you never let me down.
This one's a borrowed chord as well, but 4 minor chord.
Before.
Then we get a secondary 2-5 for the 4 chord.
Ooh, don't imagine
4 minor chord again.
you're too familiar. I don't see you anymore.
There we get another secondary dominant chord, this time for the 5 chord. It's a dominant 4, a dominant 4, a 1, where it finally resolves. Songs that don't sound complicated but totally are, part 35. If you're familiar with the Billy Joel song Just the Way You Are, you probably remember this amazing bridge he wrote.
And I need to know that you will always be the same old someone that I knew. Oh, what will it take till you believe in me the way that I believe in you? I said.
So the bridge bridge starts out pretty basic. We're not modulating anywhere. It just uses the trick of going to the 4 chord. It's this very easy way to make us feel like there's something new going on. We have what I like to call the anime cadence. 4, 5. Instead of resolving to the 1, we get the 3 minor 7. And then we get a secondary dominant for the 2 minor 7 chord. Then we get a 2, 5, 1. But from here, the bass walks down to a C, which is already outside the scale, so we get the idea we're going somewhere else now. We end up getting the same chord progression modulated up a minor third. So instead of starting on a G, we're starting on a B flat. 4, 5, 3 minor 7, secondary dominant for the 2 minor, 2, 5. Now instead of resolving to the 1, which would be, we need to modulate back to D somehow to start another verse. This is what Billy Joel did. What's the 5 for D major? A7.
Songs that don't sound complicated but totally are per 36.
You gotta check out the ingenious way in which Billy Joel reuses the second half of his bridge in the song Just the Way You Are to transition into the outro at the end of the song. So the first half of the bridge, like the rest of the song, is in D major. The second half of the bridge is in F major.
What will it take till you believe it?
So we've seen already how Billy Joel accomplished the modulation between the two halves of the bridge. But how does he modulate straight from the end of the last verse into the second half of the bridge? With a deceptive cadence.
I want you just the way you
What we're expecting to hear is
are.
but what we get instead is this.
I want you just the way you are.
Listen to how much of a difference it makes to recontextualize the melody note, this D, as the third of a B flat chord as opposed to the root of a D major chord. Same melody note, recontextualized with a different harmonization, just makes all the difference in the world. It goes on like this.
Just the way you are.
Then we're back to the 5 chord of D. And what we'd expect to hear after this A7 chord, since we're kind of in F major now still, we'd expect to hear a D minor. But instead, we use that opportunity to modulate back to D major. I have no words to describe this level of songwriting genius. If you're a songwriter and you want to write quality songs like this, you need to get into music theory. Do it now.
Songs that don't sound complicated but totally are per 37.
Did you know that only 50% of the chords of Radiohead's Creep are within the diatonic scale? Let me show you what I mean. Song's a 4-chord loop in G major and it goes like this.
I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here.
And only 2 of those 4 chords are strictly speaking diatonic. The first one, G major, and the third one, C major. B7, however, has a B sharp, which is not to be found in a G major scale, and C minor has an E flat, which is just a different name for D sharp. B7 in this context is a secondary dominant for the 6th chord in the key, which then by deceptive cadence resolves up to the 4 chord as opposed to the 6th chord, which is what our ears are expecting. Just beautiful, right? And the C minor is a borrowed chord from the parallel G minor scale, lending the song a bit of a darker sound, which is really quite fitting if you listen to the lyrics. Songwriters, if you want to make your songs sound a little bit more interesting, then you've got to start using non-diatonic chords. And in order to really use them effectively, studying music theory is a must. Check out the caption for how I can help you out.